But you got to marvel at Toney. 8 months out the game, long time to brush up your shithousery. In those 8 months, however many days that is that like 240 something days? Like, he must have really wrestled with his morality in those 8 months away,
Yeah,
right?
clearly. I've got to replace gambling on the football with something else. I need some shithousery in my life. This is what I'm going to do. From the Men in Blazers studios in the crap part of Bedford and from the crap part of Soho, it's the Men in Blazers video podcast presented by the GFOPs at Camarena, the most awarded tequila.
We're back. Oh, like poor old Tyler Bass. It's always the soccer guy. Wide right again. How you doing, David?
Oh my word, the Buffalo Bills and wide right kicks. It just goes on and on and on. I'm doing okay, Rog. Not a lot of Premier League football this weekend, a lot of sport all around the world. And I'm loving every single second of it.
We had an incredible letter this morning in our mailbag, which overfloweth, mostly with your football tattoos, which you keep sending us. They are beautiful, America, and also your license plates, your footballing license plates. But meninblazers at gmail.com for it all. We got one from Bills fan Oren Hatch, a great GFOP. Oren wrote, as I begin to sit back and take stock of last night's events in Buffalo, morbid thoughts take hold. For whom do I suffer? And what bygone debt am I settling? Why always wide right? In any event, tomorrow we'll start anew. We dust ourselves off, we go again, but with fresh and everlasting scars. However, in my current state, Oren writes, I'm left with one burning question. Is Bruno to United what Josh Allen is to the Bills? And in the same vein, is KDB to City as Mahomes is to Kansas City? Davo, you're a quasi Buffalo Bills
I
fan.
love Buffalo.
Is that parallel fair? Josh Allen. It could be worse, Oren. You might find out Josh Allen is actually your Declan Rice, right, Arsenal fans?
I'll tell you the most crushing thing that any Buffalo fan could hear right now, and Oren, I can't believe you're doing this, is analogizing Josh Allen and Bruno. I think he's so much better than that. But with all respect to Bruno, but I think he's so much better than that. It's the tragedy. What is the Premier League equivalent of the pain that Buffalo Bills fans really feel? I know you might say Everton, Rog, but
Yeah.
those consecutive Super Bowl losses, but they're so what makes it not quite the same is that they're so close to being brilliant now with an elite star player, an elite star receiver, a running game that is like the envy of most of the league, a defense banged up, but they're so good. I just don't know that there is anything quite as tragic in the Premier League as the Buffalo Bills right now.
I think you can make that parallel. Oren, Buffalo are to wide right exits what Everton are to this season point deductions. I mean, it's just a never-ending agony. They keep coming, they keep coming, they keep coming. Let's focus on the positive and just send our love to all our listeners in Detroit, Michigan, who are probably too busy being on the lash still to actually hear this, probably too overserved, even as we pod. But we send you our love anyway. You have suffered. You have persevered quite magnificently. You deserve every single joy in life. You're a bit like NFL Napoli in some regards.
Mhm.
You proud city of wonder.
Playing the
Buddies
same
pizza
colours.
you. Yeah, exactly. I'm so bloody happy for everyone in that magnificent city, even though I know as a Bears fan, I meant to hate you.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, the football was so good this weekend, the NFL variety, Rog.
Oh, yeah. I mean, God, you can't get better than Jason Kelsey's man boobs, can you? Can I just say, in terms of magical joys, announcing that Sam Lewis has joined us here at the MIB Media Network as the first editor-in-chief of the Women's Game, our fast-growing women's platform. Lynn Williams, Gotham's finest, also signed more big names to come. Here's thrill me. Sam was my partner during the rollicking month of the 2023 World Cup, and I was blown away by her ability to just tell stories of her own career, drop tactical analysis, and then just pivot in a second to pay tribute to Hugh Bloody Jackman or just to bar pizza at that South Shore iconic spot. Shout out to Poopsies. But more than anything, I'd emerged from 5 hours of broadcasting with her and just feel better about life by listening to her, which is really what I want the MIB network to be at its core, about meaning, empathy, passion, joy. So join us now on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Women's Game MIB, YouTube at _Women's Game. And just get a lot of Sam, who is a force of nature, just so intelligent. The Wall Street Journal wrote in announcing her retirement and arrival here full time that the best footballer in the world until her injury is now done. I'd say having to build out our Women's World Cup coverage, I hope will be 50% of our output by the end of 2025, is truly the joy of my professional year. Episode 1 up now across platforms. Lucy Bronze, Mal Swanson, and more to come. Sam's interview this week with Lindsay Horan is just true human gold. We are blessed. Is she not the best Sam since Allardyce, David?
Oh, she's amazing. Great signing, Rog. That's really that is the signing of the January transfer window right there.
It is the signing.
It is
Also.
the signing. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Well, we don't want to get into trouble for the expenses over a 3-year rolling period. So that's it. One every year. That's really exciting. Incredible news. And in some other tangentially related news, because the Women's Pod will drop on Thursdays on this very pod feed for the time being, that allows us to move Vamos to a pod feed alongside early kickoff. So an important announcement for all of you Vamos listeners and CONCACAF connoisseurs. Vamos will be available exclusively on our early kickoff pod feed going forward. If you are a Vamos listener, you will need to subscribe to that feed to ensure the mighty Herc Gomez is delivered into your pod feed every Thursday. Just search Men in Blazers Early Kickoff. You'll see the cover art with the nice coffee cup. Just smash that subscribe button and never miss an episode.
On the Vamos tip, Dave, I've got to say, I love that podcast. I'm so proud of it. If you want the biggest stories from CONCACAF, Liga MX, L3, MLS, US men and women, this is the podcast for you. On last week's episode, David, you'll love this. Herc spoke with Tony Miola, who revealed that Bruce Arena recruited him to the University of Virginia to play soccer solely by watching him play baseball, which is just incredible.
Actually, I think I knew that story.
You did?
I hung out with Miolo quite a lot in Japan in 2002, and I think also in Germany in 2006. And I think that's one of the stories he told me.
The only shocking thing about that to you and me, right, is that he didn't make him show off his lacrosse skills so that he could properly judge it.
Lax.
Yeah. Woo!
Oh my word. I don't know if did you watch the US Slovenia game at the weekend, Roger? Of course you did. What am I even asking that question?
I did. Slovenia very good.
But what Slovenia C? But a Mike
2.1 million people in Slovenia. They're as big as New Mexico.
And that wasn't even their first team. Anyway, but nor was it the US's first team. That's not my point. Greg Berhalter mic'd up. Yeah. How have we been starved of that glory over the last few years?
Tell the people who decided to do something more, enjoyable on their afternoon, like poking their own eyes out and didn't watch the game. What was it like hearing Greg mic'd up?
Greg Berhalter mic'd up. We could not have impersonated it. And we could have not have parodied it better than the real thing. The fatuosity of the entire thing, Rog. Yeah, guys, let's go, go. I just loved every second of it. And then my favorite bit is when he turned around to his assistant coaching staff and said, hey, guys, watch out for the way we're running the lanes. And I sort of felt like one of the assistants, you could sort of hear him mumbling in the background. Greg, isn't that what you're meant to be doing, watching on the sideline, doing it? Anyway, it was go.
Let's go. Let's go, guys.
It made me miss Bruce Arena.
Yeah.
Sticks high, lads. Sticks high.
Lads, we're going to steal third base on my signal, guys.
So good. Okay, with that, Rog, can you kick us off with a toast?
I do want to raise this third first Bud Light of the day to AC Milan, who walked off the field mid-game at the weekend at Udinese when racist chants and insults were continuously aimed at their goalkeeper, the great Mike Maignan. Really an important stance by the whole team in this moment, and a world away from Juventus, who back in 2019 had Moise Kean on the receiving end of racist insults, only for his own manager and teammates to blame him for, quote, provoking those racist chants. Tariq Panja, our friend from the New York Times, noted how awful must it have been for Udinese's black players like Okoye, Ubiese and Kamara to have to leave the field because racist idiots in their own fan base forced the temporary suspension of the game. Why would you want to represent them now? Milan went on to win the game 3-2 with a winner in the 93rd minute. Just beautiful justice by the very fine Noah Okafor. And the Milan players celebrated around Manyan at the final whistle. On Sunday, he posted powerfully, "It's not the player who was attacked, it's the man. It's the father of a family. And it's not the first time this has happened to me. And I'm not the first person it's happened to. We have had statements, publicity campaigns, protocols. Nothing has changed. Today, there's a whole system that needs to take responsibility." To him, to his family, to Milan on this weekend, and to better days ahead for all.
Yeah, we rightly revel in a lot of the beauty of Italian football, but there is a darkness there, Rog, that something has to be done about. Okay, to the Premier League football. Premier League chefs cooking up an incredible weekend with only a few leftovers. So many different tastes and textures, though. Bournemouth nil, Liverpool 4, top of the table Liverpool. Pay a visit to the Vitality, where the Cherries have been stacking up points and moving up the Premier League table like a hipster down at your local climbing gym. But they get a heavy dose of a 6A plus wall here. After a scoreless first half, they get absolutely steamrolled by Jurgen Klopp's mob. Braces from Darwin Nunez and Diogo Jota do the job on the South Coast. Liverpool go 5 points clear ahead of Man City with a game in hand.
Yeah, it was a windy day on the south coast. Conditions cut from Tyler Bass's worst nightmare. Storm Isha poised to hit England's shores. And the Las Vegas Golden Cherries, winners of 6 in their last 8. The best form in the Premier League over that spell. Welcome to their tiny crucible. Liverpool Football Club, league leading Liverpool, who would have been second in that form table, by the way. A depleted Liverpool, yes, with Mo Salah, who's actually suffered a reported back muscle injury
Yeah.
on AFCON duty. More on him to come. And the increasingly influential Endo out on Asian Cup duty. And also the Flows Alexander Arnold knocked out with a knee injury for this stealth American derby, Davo. Bournemouth's Michael B. Jordan against Liverpool's LeBron James. If LeBron James actually knew he owned Liverpool,
Yeah,
Davo, right?
or any piece of it. Yeah, without a doubt. Not keen on that Liverpool menthol light shirt that they wore down to the South Coast, but
I
there
think
you
it's
go.
divisive. I do think many of these clubs now are just, they've seen Arsenal's bruised banana kit of the
Yeah.
90s and they're just like, it's like a fine wine. The kit is horrific now, but in 20 years, it will be a cult
Oh,
favorite
I
for
see.
retro
I see.
nostalgics. But Liverpool, younger Northern Irish international Conor Bradley getting his first Premier League start, attempting to impress at right back in the number 84 shirt. Joe Gomez filling in at left back. They opened in dominant but blunt fashion, all of the ball, little of the threat in Mo Salah's absence. Diogo Jota, Luis Diaz, and the mighty Darwin Nunez toiled. They took turns to shoot from distance as Bournemouth fans delighted in informing Darwin, and this blew my mind, that he was, quote, just a shit Andy Carroll. And it was a very weird chant for 2 reasons to me, David. Number one, I'm old enough to remember all the way back to last November when it was Nunez who lashed a quite breathtaking winner to send Liverpool into the Carabao Cup quarterfinals at Bournemouth's expense. But also, Nunez is just 24. He was a
Mm.
tiny kid when Andy Carroll was in his Newcastle pomp. Do you think for a second he has any idea who Andy Carroll even is?
No, probably not. Probably not. I think some of the other he's been given the shit Zlatan label. At least he's aware of who Zlatan is. But the shit Andy Carroll one, that's tough. That
Oh,
must be very confusing for him.
yeah, by the way, as it would turn out, 2 cliches would turn out to be true in this game. Those who don't know their history, Bournemouth fans are doomed to repeat it. And also, I'm not sure if this is a cliche, don't pokey pokey the bear. But we'll get to that because you couldn't tell from the first half. Liverpool frustrated by Bournemouth's organised swarming and by the wind. Angry too that Justin Kluivert stayed on the field, escaped even a yellow. After battling McAllister, then coming in with a stamp on Luis Diaz just
Mm.
above the boot. Curtis Jones, I'm old enough to remember when he got a red for less, but it's got to be said for the War Cherries. They show enough in that first half to not only hold Liverpool off, but also to maraud in moments. Solanke, an irritant, Sinistera, probing. Half-time vibe for Liverpool was probably in that locker room, "Oh, we miss Mo. Oh, yeah, we miss Mo." But it took just 4 minutes to get back into the "it's all okay" love train. Canate hit a lovely diagonal to Curtis Jones. He initiated a moment of slick collective team interplay, whipped down the pants of Bournemouth's heretofore organised backline, fed Jota, spotted Darwin running through the gut of the Cherry area, and once it was fed in, the Uruguayan god of chaos slid home, roared away. Cue kiss to the camera, crotch slide in the Bournemouth night. Shit Andy Carroll indeed, Davo. You taunt this man. You do it at your peril.
Bournemouth, not an easy place to play, Rog. It's the size of an arena football league pitch. It is. It's windy, always windy. Even if there's no storm coming in, it's windy down there. On a summer's day, it's windy and very tough to play. Bournemouth, as you said, the Cherries playing great football, but Liverpool just rose their level and one touched their way with that marauding front three to start punishing them at the back.
Iraola's Bournemouth, though, they are feisty and they carried on undaunted. I thought Virgil was incredibly impressive, Canate too. Um, but Liverpool finish games. This is their motif stronger than they start them. And just after the hour, they pulled Diaz and RV Elliott off. On came Gakpo and Gravenberch, switching Darwin Nunez from the left wing into the middle. They brought these gents on, gents of this quality, gents who bring on different looks. Honestly, reminds me, we used to talk about West Brom in the Romelu Lukaku days. They wouldn't let him start. They'd bring him on for the last half hour after Shane Long had just exhausted opponents' backlines. Liverpool do that week in, week out, but they do it with two or three ROMs at the time, expensive, skill soaked ROMs, and it just shatters teams. That massive second half first substitution.
Yeah. Jurgen, he's got a little bit more than go, go, go in his locker, and he switches around tactics. He does different things. He not only brings on substitutes, but he changes systems so beautifully after sort of softening up the underbelly of his opponents. And yeah, this was a masterclass on the
With
sideline.
Jota, that was the move, filling Mo Salah's space on the right, killing the game off. Pair of finishes on, I think it was 70 minutes and 80 minutes. Second strike was amazing. Liverpool on the counter. Jota originally whiffed on his shot, and the Bournemouth fans laughed. It reminded me, honestly, of a traumatic laugh that the Everton fans did when, in the Origi shoulder goal just before it, Verge whiffed on his shot, and all the fans go, "Way!" But he who lasts longest. Jota, quickest to react to his own whiff. GFOP at Mulharen tweeted, "Oh, he had a second bite of the cherry, so to speak, and the God of mercy became the God of vengeance as he just drilled the ball home." What an economical player this man is. 2 shots on goal, 2 goals. I think it was off a expected goal for the games for him of 0.14. These are Bernardo Silva-esque numbers. 5 goal involvements, 2 goals, 3 assists in his last 5 appearances, all competitions. At Father O'Connor, that great GFOP tweeted us, "I think Jota is Portuguese for genius low-key signing who brings me joy I can hardly explain, but I'm just so thankful to experience." He's a magnificent footballer, David.
Yeah, he's the fifth evangelist. I love it. There's a little O'Connor reference. Yeah, he's magnificent, but he fits in. And you're right. They have lesser known squad players who would be the stars on other teams. This was so impressive to me about Liverpool. Not just the 4 goals they went down there and scored, Rog, but as you referenced, Virgil and Canate to go down there and not concede against a Bournemouth team that have been putting them away for fun, just at both ends of the field and in the center of the park. Just a really impressive performance in midwinter.
Nunez made it 4 late. I don't know how you describe the finish, Davo. Sliding in off his ass, as they'd say in Liverpool, kind of clipping it with the outside of his boot at a deliciously cunning angle. It was exquisite, right?
Yeah, it looked like a mistake at regular speed, and then it looked like he'd just accidentally, lost his footing and slid it in with his arse. But when you watched it on the replay from the other side, this was a spectacular finish. It was
It was.
audacious.
And the two of them, that first goal, finish of a master assassin. Second one, it was like seeing just a just an elite improv comedian at work, and all you can do is just marvel at their mastery of structure. And it was delirious Liverpool fans in this moment who ended the game singing "You're just a shit, Andy Carroll," taunting the Bournemouth fans who'd sung it at Nunez for the entire first half. Harsh, it should be said, on Bournemouth to concede 4 goals at an expected goal rate of 1.62. But that is Liverpool. This Liverpool, Davo, they are relentless. They grind you down and they score late, late, late.
Yeah, always have done, Rog, as you well know. It's one of the strengths of this team. They're mentality monsters.
And Storm Isha navigated a team who pride themselves being able to walk through the storm with their heads held high, and with their own storm, Storm Darwin. So crucial for Jurgen that he gets him scoring, feeling dangerous again, clean sheet to boot. Another game with all their key absences navigated. Dominic Soboslai, Andy Robertson amongst those absences. Just one defeat in 21 league games, an incredible record. By the way, Mo Salah has returned from AFCON duty
Mm.
due to injury. The Egyptian king limped off during Egypt's 2-2 draw with Ghana on Thursday night with a reported muscle injury. There's been ruled out of their final Group B match against Cape Verde on Monday, as well as the last 16 and quarterfinal. Jurgen Klopp clarified the plan is that Salah will go back to the Ivory Coast if Egypt are still in the tournament when he finishes medical treatment, theoretically. But for now, both Egypt and Liverpool are without him. And they remain league leading Liverpool. No fear, alliteration lovers. As it stands, they are 5 points ahead of Manchester City, who have that game in hand. But all Liverpool can do is keep on keeping on as they plummet towards that date of destiny, aka juggling grenades, hosting Manchester City at Anfield early March. Bring that on. But quadruple for now, Davo, still a thing.
Yeah, definitely looking good. And Darwin stepping up seems like at exactly the right time with the question mark over Mo Salah. Arsenal 5, Crystal Palace nil. After losing 3 of their last 5 Premier League games, Arsenal start the weekend by absolutely backhanding Palace at the Emirates. Big Gabriel started the scoring in the 11th minute with a towering header, followed by Dean Henderson own goal and a Leandro Trossard strike. A pair of very late goals from skinny Gabriel put an exclamation point at the end of this one. You just know Odegaard loves an exclamation point in the group chat, Rog, and with good reason, because Arsenal move up into third, level on points with City, and just 5 behind Liverpool, but no game in hand. Palace, meanwhile, have won just 1 of their last 10 league games, and the din of revolution is growing south of the river.
Oh, we'll get to that, Davo. This one was all about Arsenal in the run up. Warm weather training in Dubai for the entirety of last week. And Mikel Arteta, I think he did it to distract the world from Arsenal's slide in form. Just one win in the last 7 games, 3 consecutive defeats, goals and goal scorers silenced. I'm pretty sure he decided to misdirect attention by well, that can be the only reason for it, can't you, David? Did you see him eating straight off Salt Bay's knife, the salted steak? God, it was awkward.
That was difficult for anybody who loves Mikel Arteta or even just respects him to see him dining with that idiot and paying. Well, I'm sure it was gifted to him in some way, but promoting that man's rubbish. It was tough to watch for him, Rog.
It's like away from football. Mikel Arteta is such a strangely awkward human being. Strangely awkward for someone so bloody good looking. And Salt Bay, as ever, smelled of desperate need for attention and kind of like fear of fast impending irrelevance.
Yeah,
Um,
he always inserts himself into football. It's one of the things that I really annoys me about the man.
yeah, a bit like Dwight McNeil. But I expect a Premier League announcement about the points deduction, which is forthcoming for Arsenal Football Club, that this taste crime
Oh,
warrants immediately. But until then, fourth place Arsenal. Just hope this stake infraction would be their season nadir. And a reset almost. That's what they wanted coming into this North South London argy bargy against, it should be said, a feeble Crystal Palace in their own right. They've just been clipped by a truly lackluster Everton in the FA Cup midweek. Got their own barren spell, just one win in their past 11 all comps. Palace unfold their new 5 at the back formation. That honestly left them truly woefully outnumbered in the midfield, ceding all initiative to their opponents. It was important that Arsenal got an early goal. which they did on 13 minutes off a corner. Rice giving it a wafting delivery, and Gabriel meeting it with big air, aka using poor Chris Richards' shoulders as a launching pad. I felt a bit sad for Chris in this moment, David. We all howled when Joe Linton used Gabriel as a jumping off board when Newcastle beat Arsenal back in November. But David, I think Arsenal fans no longer think that kind of dunk on an opponent is a foul, right?
Oh, you're allowed to do it when it's your own player. It's just you're not allowed to do it when it's the other way around. I mean, like, what, the hypocrisy of Premier League fans of all teams? Are
I
we
need
ever surprised?
consistency. Give me rationality. Give me consistency. I mean, it was hard to watch, David. I've got a feeling, had all the hallmarks of something that Salt Bay had drawn up on a steakhouse napkin and briefed Arteta. I think he probably calls the place something like the Golden Giant Tomahawk Steak. In truth, I've got to say, it was incredibly well choreographed when you actually look at the play. It was a bit like a Stan Van Gundy had given the high screen a roll option run through to Arsenal while they were away, and brave Arsenal fans who had only, I think, David Raya giving the ball away irrationally as the one threat that Palace could muster
Yeah.
all day. It was a second set piece, almost a big relief than the first. It too came off a corner. Arteta, he talked about how his team had just drilled these set pieces when they were in Dubai, and it showed again a long corner, this time from Saka, Gabriel again at the far post, again against poor, lost Chris Richards in the moment, headed it back and down, kind of went in off poor beleaguered goalkeeper. Dean Henderson's head to rub Salt Bay into the wound. GFOP at Cole Hanking said, please stop posting videos of Chris Richards getting cooked. It's breaking my heart. It was hard to watch for US fans and Palace fans alike, right, David?
Yeah, and this was one of the things that when Roy came back into the club with his assistant Ray Lewington, a lot of emphasis was put on the way they would, defend and attack from set pieces. And Palace had been pretty good at it over the last year, certainly the first half of that last year. And just surprising to see how timid their defense was from these corner kicks, and also not to see Ray Lewington standing on the sideline, effing and blinding all of his players, including Chris Richards.
And we've got to give credit where credit's due. Arsenal have now scored a league leading 10 times from corners this season, which is a Premier League most. Really a testament to what good set piece coaching can do for a team willing to invest all the time in those details. Looking at you, US men's national team, and poor Palace. Rumoured future manager, or one of many, Graham Potter looking on with his family, dressed a bit like. Did you see his look, David? I don't know. It was like Solihull Steve Zissou.
Yeah, well, it was almost like he was trying to be a little bit incognito, but by trying to be so incognito, he was very cognito.
Yeah, it's like when you wear the fake mustache and glasses, or like anyone in disguise in the Americans who has to show the audience that it's really
But they're in
it was me
disguise.
the whole time.
Yeah.
Whatever, it would not have pleased Roy Hodgson seeing a young gun there in front of my face, dancing on my grave before I've even been taken down to the river in a sack, old Yeller style. But Arsenal killed off the game with a third goal from a corner. This time was actually one of Crystal Palace's. There is nothing more humiliating in football, Dave, than conceding a full length of the field rumble from a corner in your own area.
Yeah, it's not a good look. And usually it's Arsenal doing it. And so it was amazing to see it happen to Palace. It was great for Arsenal, know the play. They know the play because they've seen it run against them so many times. Yeah, great
It
goal,
was
great break.
so emasculating. 1 minute you're hungry and dreaming of a comeback, the next you're on your back on the canvas. You don't know how the hell you got from there to here. Gabriel Jesus released by a fine Ray outlet pass, romp forward. Jesus thought about Jesusing and somehow just throwing himself onto the floor in an attempt to get a penalty, but then decided to work a fine pass to Trossard, who was dreaming of his spectacle celly even before he cut inside and rifled home. Bright side Palace. I believe this was the first goal scored from one of your corners all season. Martinelli delivered a strange coup de grace late on. Two eerily similar goals in garbage time within
Mm.
101 seconds, straight through the back line and opened up his body with a land to pad the score. But Palace had long since surrendered meekly without putting up any semblance of a fight. And the Palace fans were watching along in agony. They are such a die-hard, hardcore. They travelled up north to Everton to watch their team.
Yeah.
This is what's amazing. Palace in the midweek FA Cup replay, they sacrificed the game mid-game. They pulled off all their best players to preserve their energy for this game, only to see themselves get smashed 5-0, edging towards a relegation zone, um, appearing like a club in stasis, and cue remarkable scenes. Palace have always had this deeply committed, hyper local fan base, and here they raise banners in the away end, wasted potential on and off the pitch, weak decisions taking us backwards. It must have been hard for Roy Hodgson to witness, harder still for CEO Steve Parish, who, as he always is, was present in attendance. The champagne football that took place in the week Roy was appointed back in July last year, long since burned away. David, this was limp and stale and rotten. And it was also hard to watch Roy at the final whistle as he nears his end. His first match as manager, this is amazing, 1976, 6 years before Mikel Arteta was even born. Now thrashed 5-0 by Arteta, left to stare at the damning banners, Davo. It's tough. I don't know what you make of it. I know you are close to Palace,
Yeah.
but that face on him at the end, it was hard to watch.
Well, firstly, you know, traveling up to North London from South London, you may as well be going to Newcastle. And it's worse than that because London rivalries in the Premier League are a really, really big deal. Every team you play, you expect to go and fight. The Bants is next level between the London teams, and it's an enormous, it's enormous to lose in that manner to a London rival is just awful for any team. Look, uh, Roy, I think he got appointed on the initially last March to go and get there. It's about, this is after everything that happened with Patrick Vieira. These same fans, I would say, cheered Roy Hodgson's return mightily and got behind him and the team. And that was a major factor in their success in the last half of last season or the last third of last season. Um, obviously, you lose a player like Wilfred Zaha, which there's nothing they could do. The player just wanted out. He wanted out for years. And I don't know what more the team could have done to keep him. They managed to keep him for so long when he wanted to go everywhere in the Premier League and everywhere around Europe. In the end, they lost him and he went there. They made him a fantastic offer and he didn't stay. They managed to keep Elise, which, you know, I think that shocked everybody across the Premier League that they managed to keep him, and great that they kept him because he's such a good player. They have some great young players. They have some good players, but they look versus an Arsenal. They do look entirely overmatched. It's tough. I'm close with the owner. And I know you're friends with him too, Rog. It is he really is a guy who cares massively about the team. He's poured every pound he has into this team. He's managed to bring in, the Yanks, as the sign says, Yanks out. But bringing in those Americans has, been a massive thing for the club in terms of the investment, both in their training ground, in terms of their squad, in terms of their players. But, Roy and Ray have managed to pull off a miracle for a certain amount of time. It feels like that injection is coming to an end. And I understand why fans get angry. They want to see their teams win. They want to see their teams do well. They probably look at another, you know, claret and blue side like, Aston Villa and think, why can't we be them? But it was really hard for me to watch. And I think hard for a lot of observers to watch how angry they were at the end.
I mean, Aston Villa have like the fifth or sixth biggest wage bill in the Premier League. So I think it's more that teams like Bournemouth and Brighton have taken gambles and built strategies that kind of embarrass everyone who's in the bottom half of the league perpetually. And God, Roy at the end just had a face on him. It reminded me of, we've talked about him before. It's every British schoolboy's hero, or the man we were told was like the gent to follow. Just Lawrence Oates on that doomed expedition to cross Antarctica in 1912. Gent, poor kid, suffering from frostbite that would have slowed down the whole group, probably doomed them during a brutal storm. He merely walked outside of the tent into just the pitch white snowfall to his certain death. And his famous last words, I may be sometime. You were taught that at school, right, David?
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
very, very looked like he just wanted to look at the camera and just be like, I may be sometime. Just noble British stiff upper lip, self-sacrifice. That's what it looked like. I may be sometime. Palace fans. Change has got to happen, really, for fear of the fans giving up on the team. But even if like Graham Potter takes over, and I don't think that would be complicated with his Brighton connections, that weird Brighton Palace rivalry, or ex Nottingham Forest boss Steve Cooper, whoever, it's not clear that they're going to be able to coax out quality football out of that current caliber of squad.
Yeah.
Albeit this weekend, Sean, of Jordan Ayew and Michael Elise. I said the next game, a week on Tuesday against Sheffield United at home, is just everything. And Godspeed to them, because it is a beautiful, beautiful club there in South London. For Arsenal, 5-0, back up to third in this most incredible of modern Premier League title chases. They didn't even really have to try, was the honest truth. Clean sheet 2. Key men find in the back of the net. Arteta admitted post-game that they don't have a 30-goal scorer in their side, so they've got to learn to share them. And here they did. Just a fine way to announce we got our Arsenal back. Declan Rice picked up a knock, was one slight grey spot on the day, feeling a sensation in his hamstring. What did Pulisic used to feel,
An
Chelsea?
awareness.
An
An
awareness. I think
awareness.
he had an awareness. It'll be wrapped in cotton wool because Forest away next, then a huge Liverpool rumble at home in just 2 weeks. Bring it on.
Absolutely. Okay, now to a game with multiple red cards and the latest goal in Premier League history. Sheffield United 2, West Ham 2, Sunday morning at the altar of Moyes, Rog. And it was the Glaswegians Chargers who started the scoring in the 28th minute via Maxwell Cornet, his first goal for the club since that move from Burnley in August of 2022. But the Chip Butties, as they so often do, hit back via debutant Chilean Ben Brereton Diaz, second half, and JWP did what he does from the penalty spot, but in the dying embers, the 103rd minute, Sheffield United earned a penalty, which tall drink of Scottish water, Ollie McBurney, lashed home to split the spoils. The Irons are in 6th place. The Blades are in 20th. All hail Alloys. Rog.
Oh, bubbles, meet greasy chip butties. And at the start of this game, Sheffield United, rock bottom. I think they had just 9 points from 20 games so far under Chris Wilder back. They've definitely shown real fight, but still two problems. They can't defend, they can't score. West Ham was shot midweek by Championship side Bristol City. Hope to rebound despite the ongoing absences of Lucas Paqueta and Mikel Antonio to injury, and that mischievous spark Mohamed Kudus off at AFCON. And as a result, West Ham currently linked to everybody. Any possible loose tooth of a football player in London's linked to them. Emil Smith Rowe, Broha, a squad so stretched they had to exhume Danny Ings, who has struggled mightily since joining from Villa. So much so that his own West Ham fans mockingly cheered every time he scored in warm-ups. Bless. But it was another peripheral squad figure who opened the scoring. Maxwell Cornet seized the moment, lashed a deflected Ings drive home. It's taken him, I think it's 28 games to finally score for the Hammers. Stepping in here for Kudus. A bit like going to Broadway to watch Laurence Olivier in Hamlet, only to arrive London. He's off sick. You got an
Yeah.
understudy in his place. But that understudy smashed the performance. Not all bad for Sheffield United. Third team in history to concede 50 goals inside 21 games, which the more you think about it, it's actually an impressive achievement. Cue West Ham fans, Davo, you'll love this, in their Cockney accents, way up north singing Champions of Europe. You'll never sing that. Asterisk. They're referring to the Conference League win. And Sheffield United fans, Dave, are quite brilliantly instantly fired back with Champions of League One. You'll never sing that. I love football.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's hope West Ham never have to win League One. That would be in the gallows humor of the Bubbles crowd. They'll probably think, God, we might be in League One.
I've got to be honest, as an Everton fan, when I heard that, I was like, wow, Champions of League One.
That sounds pretty
Bite your
good.
arm off, yeah.
It's got a one in it.
If you're offering it,
It's got Champions
I'll take
and League
it. I
and
mean, it's
one.
not the Florida Cup now, is it? But
No.
God, United though, God bless them under Wilder. They continue to do their thing, dominating possession, wasting chance after chance till 44th minute. That great American Austin Trusty, 25-year-old from Media, Pennsylvania, headed intelligently into the West Ham nerve centre for a hockey assist. Asula headed it in on goal. Areola could only palm it away. In swooped Brereton Diaz. just flicked the ball over JWP in a battle of the old three names, and then drilled the ball home, charging away like a Chilean Rasmus Højlund, breaking a season-long goal drought. And he is a fascinating gent, Brereton Diaz, Davo. Best BBD since Bell Biv DeVoe. Born in England, in Stoke-on-Trent to a policeman dad and a Chilean mother, got called up by Chile while banging in goals for Blackburn for fun, had to learn Spanish just so he could sing the national anthem. And it was just lovely to watch him score his first Premier League goal on his debut, just be so elated, so relieved. First Chilean player to score a Premier League goal since Alexis Sanchez, Devo, in 2018. Vamos!
So good. I love that backstory. Yeah, Sheffield coming at them, playing good football, Rog, as well.
So much of the ball, so many chances, wasted all of them. West Ham don't want the ball. Why would they want the ball,
Yeah.
Dave? It's not what David Moyes teams do they?
Yeah, no, they prefer your legs and your ankles to the ball.
And Danny Ings, he just needed a second to prove that you can't spell things without Ings. He charged into the box, was clipped by Hamer. James Ward-Prowse not going to miss an opportunity to smash the penalty aim, do his goal selly in front of the travelling delirious West Ham fans who felt in that moment job done. But honestly, the game was only just beginning because in time added on,
Yeah.
it changed this from a football game really to a match of blitz chess filled with a series of high pressure decisions made erratically in a game which became one of fast paced sacrifices, symmetrical self sabotage. First, Rhian Brewster received a red card after a VAR check. You can only describe what he did. I think it was on Emerson, as him going full Ty Cobb, right?
Yeah, this was VAR almost ruled this a red card before the play was over. It was so fast. I don't know what the ref thought he was seeing that he didn't give the instant red. I mean, this was we've argued about a few of these straight red cards, Rog. This one really, what on earth was the
I
boy
think he'd been
thinking?
on the field for like 11 minutes. This was, if you've ever seen Ty Cobb go like just spikes first into first base, that's what this was like. Vladimir Sufal then picked up 2 yellows within mere minutes, almost brazenly. But then 2 minutes after the end of time added on, West Ham goalkeeper Areola came out to clean out McBurney. Moyes, God bless him, incredible moment, took off his goalkeeper, threw on Fabianski, master penalty saver, 11 penalty saves, made the end of the game for like some kind of late innings Major League Baseball game filled with situational changes. But McBurney, God bless him, did not blink, lashed the ball into the corner with conviction. 4 home games with a goal. This one in the 103rd minute, the latest goal scored in Premier League recording history. There's honestly a foul in the box after this 104 minutes. What did you make of Bowen wrestled down by Admedozic?
Yeah, I mean, I watched the replay of this a few times, and I can see why VAR didn't overrule the initial decision. But I'm amazed once again that the initial decision was not
What?
given
Why? I
as
mean,
a
if you,
penalty.
the coveted young Bosnian defender had his arms completely around Bowen, and I've grown used to the season to the merest touches in the penalty area being punished. It was almost like the ref was like, the policy is too many late penalties will turn this game into a farce.
Yeah. Yeah,
Should have just
Bowen did have some hands on the defender as well, but I nowhere near the level of hands on that the Bosnian had.
I don't know why it wasn't given. Maybe they should have just given pass interference and automatic first down. GFOP at William of VB
First
tweeted
down hammers, go go go!
at the
I love
spot of
it.
the foul. Look, William of VB tweeted, "Look, if the game went on any bloody longer, they were going to have to cut away for Super Bowl coverage." I'll say the Blades were thrilled. Every Sheffield United fan I know is just so giddy with this point, mostly because it's a symbol of life itself, a pulse. David Moyes, furious post-game, claimed the level of officiating has plunged so low in the Premier League that, quote, no one knows what referees are going to do. But in truth, West Ham will rue being 1 goal up, a man up, into time added on, and not emerging with all 3 points in that breathless end of game. Why storyline packed feast? That's ultimately my takeaway from this weekend. That out of nowhere in these 5-game mini weekends, out of nowhere in games that frankly we wouldn't be watching if there was a full slate. when we least expect it. Not just the ending and the crucial point for the Blades, the Cornet redemption story, the Brett and Diaz resurrection theme, the Ings return to wonder, West Ham sealing the game, West Ham letting the game slip, West Ham being screwed. I was like, God, this is why football is so thrilling. Out of nowhere, just unlimited drama falling like snow on snow, David.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of agree with you. I think that the
I'm not sure I agree with me.
I I don't like these limited Premier League weekends. I think they should just honestly do away with give it every team that 1 week break and then come back and come in with a bang. And you don't get many chances in the global sporting calendar to sort of like make your mark. And for me, it makes the Premier League feel diminished to me.
Oh, talking about diminished spectacles. FA Cup fourth round next weekend. Bring it on. In the face.
Okay, Brentford 3, Nottingham Forest 2, a 5-goal shootout that saw the coronation of the heir to the crown of villainous Ivans, not Vasiljevic, not Drago, but Toney, Rog, returning for the first time following his 8-month gambling ban. Ivan Toney immediately stole the headlines with a 19th minute free kick that curled around the Forest wall and tied the game up at 1 apiece. But replays showed Toney moving the ball just a touch off the referee's placement prior to the free kick. Not once, but twice. A move that drew golf claps from even the most captious of shithousery enthusiasts. Ben Mee and Chris Wood traded second half goals before your old friend Neil Mopay, Rog, put the bees ahead for good. That goal must have confused you. But all the talk after this one is sure to be about Ivan Toney, Roger.
Yeah, well, little did we know going into this. Struggling Brentford, 1 win in 10, I think it was all comp. Suddenly, just 3 points off the relegation zone. Welcome back, the aforementioned Ivan Toney, 8 months out for breaching 232 betting charges. I must say, back fairly unrepentant by the sound of things. He announced his return to football by posting free on social media and emerged with a fresh new tattoo on the back of his neck, 11:59. In the same way as it would be on the digital clock, which he told the media represented the fact that even the longest of days will eventually come to an end. And back he came, talking both about how he owes Brentford as a club for standing by him during this no doubt incredibly dark time, and also how he now wants to leave the club for a big one, quote, maybe in January.
Yeah.
Um, both sides of mouth talking, which Coach Thomas Frank laughed off, saying he's like an 8-year-old boy who just wants to go out and play, while deciding he'd make his slightly erratic, petulant last hope of a striker with Johan Wieser out at the African Cup of Nations and Brian Mbumo injured, and not just give him an immediate start, but also, Davo, make him captain,
Yeah.
which is, I'll say that was a choice. And Toney took the armband and announced, "Big Dog's back," repeating it for emphasis twice before the game. David, have you ever tried to give yourself a nickname like that? Big Dog! Is that even legally allowed? Or should Toney receive a further 8-month ban for that infraction?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I imagine that he got the captain's armband because there's some kind of multiplier at William Hill bookies for if he manages to get a goal with the captain's armband. I have no idea,
I
but it,
back myself. I do. God bless. I mean, Brentford, big dog, but Forest had all their own problems too. League leading tonnage away at the African Cup of Nations. Only two men who are actually good at football: Morgan Gibbs White and Anthony Alanga, both injured. Um, Brentford had really gone all in on this Ivan Toney show. They brought billboards all around the stadium saying he's back. And then right before kickoff, did you see this? They gave him like an Undertaker-esque style, like they dimmed the lights, made the whole place flash red. It was like insane. He's back on all the billboards, Davo, before kickoff. It's like he'd come back from like a terrible tragedy or just some awful illness. We're just so glad that he can walk again. It was
yeah. And it was a gambling ban.
I mean, it was definitely a choice.
Yeah.
Um, but 3 minutes in, all that effervescence burnt off. Janelt, under some pressure, he decided to do essentially what a child would do. He just blasted the ball into the air as hard as he could. It dropped right back down into the Kenny Loggins danger zone of the area. Me tried to head it clear, but it went only as far as Danilo, who just just unfurled instinctively the kind of skills that you can only hone on the beach in the magnificent city of Salvador, Brazil. He just
Brazil.
did you see it? When he
Yeah.
just what he thied the ball up as an alley to self oop that followed it. It was a smashing moment of verve.
If you've spent time on the beaches of Brazil,
Brazil.
as Roger and I have,
Yeah.
um, one of us more willingly than the other. One of us wearing shorts and a cut-off t-shirt, and one of us wearing tweed at that point, I believe.
I think I wore a duffel coat. It was like 95 degrees, but I
um,
did. I'm
but
not
but
quite sure why.
but the football you see played on the beaches by people who one assumes are not professional footballers and probably didn't even make their school teams or their club travel teams. But men, women, children, the occasional dog plays
Always the
football so
dogs.
well. They play
But
so well. It's amazing that we don't see this kind of goal scored more often.
by the way, it's true. You are not over exaggerating this story. You could walk down Copacabana, the beach, just named by just a nation who love Barry Manilow so much they named the beach after one of his songs.
Oh, I
And
forgot that joke.
and that was the first joke we ever made in
Yeah, I love that.
2014 on ESPN. I still love that joke.
It's excellent.
The you walk down the beach and there are hundreds of games played by collectives of keepy uppy, and there's always it's as if it's been commercially casted. There's one of every type of person. There's like an old man in there wearing a far too tight speedo with like a very plummeting testicle bag, just doing incredible keepy uppy with young, beautiful looking human beings, and men and women together of every just diverse background. Always, though, a dog.
Yeah,
Incredible. They always chip it. It has to be a dog. I think
yeah.
legally they chip it to the dog, and the dog would like knock the ball up twice, two, three times, and then just head it or sometimes tail it onto the next
Yeah,
person.
and they play this game in all different formats, Rod. Sometimes it's them around in a circle. Sometimes they're in a line. Sometimes there's a net. Sometimes it's a low net. Sometimes it's a high net. Sometimes it's a ping pong table.
But
They're using every different format of playing this game.
when you see this, it's almost like you're the weirdo for not being able to do this because it is so normative. Your point that I'm trying to very long-windedly validate is why are there not more goals like this? When genuinely in Brazil it is communal garden, even by old men with very low hung testicle bags can do it. Like, why is it not
They
more
use
common?
those testicle bags sometimes in
Yes,
the game of keepy uppy.
yes.
I don't know. Whole thing was going on in 2014 where the Brazil team, in all the Brazilian media, they're thinking, where are we going to find someone to play up front for La Seleção? And we're like, just go to the beach, baby. Just go to the beach and
I've
take
just
a look
seen
at
an
anyone.
Australian shepherd that can bag you 7 or 8 goals in this World Cup tournament. Listen, God bless. It was an incredible, breathtaking moment. Forest, honestly, looked like they were getting in early on that 10-point deduction bounce. But then Toney stepped in for his moment. Free kick on the edge of the area, which he lashed home. And it was initially, I've got to be candid, it was completely confusing in the moment. Because, and stay with me here, he was so close to the goal, the free kick mark. It was one of those where normally the commentator has to legally say he's very close. I don't think he's got enough space to go up and down. So you have to kind of everyone knows he's going to spank the ball, and we all knew it was coming. But Tony's shot just seemed to slip through the wall. But like if you remember Patrick Swayze in Ghost, it was totally confusing. And because technically it's the goalkeeper's job to set the wall, for a couple of moments we all howled in agony at Matt Turner, who was covering the other side of the goal. It's his job to set the wall. Took a huge amount of criticism. Crying to the heavens for Keylor Navas to return from PSG to save Forest again. But then I think it took them about 11 or 12 minutes on the broadcast to do the replay from the right angle, pull back, and they saw this is incredible. After the wall was set, while the referee had some Brentford players distracting him in conversation, almost as decoys.
Deliberately?
Yes.
After they'd spoken to Toney and been sent over there to be decoys.
Yes, this is what's amazing. Decoys, just like decoying the referee. This is what you train in an elite Premier League setting. Okay, you two bugger off over there and just talk to the referee. What do you think they were talking to the referee about in that? Excuse me, sir, do you know what time the next train to Tooting is?
Could have been.
I mean, yeah, no, or they just pulled out some playing cards and were like, sir, pick a card. I will memorize it. was yours the forward down the rest? Like, what the hell are you talking about, man? But it didn't matter what they were saying because what really mattered was what Tony was doing. First, he moved the ball slice style to the right. And then this was an incredible moment. The referee spray the foam. He had the chutzpah to lift up the chunk of the foam, which is really just a piece of foam at this point, and moved it over to where he wanted to place the ball. This was an insane moment, Davo. That this spray is not just like on the grass, but you can actually, it's a physical object that you can grab in your own hands as if it's some kind of dormant ferret.
It's if you spend time around West London
Yes.
and around Brentford, you realise that this was like where inspired by the graffiti artists of New York City during the early years of hip hop. Like graffiti went to West London. Like this was a big thing, and some of the best graffiti artists are all around there. And literally, there's graffiti that was sprayed there on the walls in like 1980 that they still haven't got off, and yet we can't find a spray can for the referees that will actually that will just last. We only need it to last like what 10 minutes
Yes.
down on the ground, but
Yes,
just to
on the
like
ground.
mark for
Not
10 minutes.
If any of you are listening, entrepreneurs who want to get into a business in which you can make a fortune, just make a foam spray that you cannot lift up like as if it's a dormant ferret, because
Ugh.
Tony lifted up this dormant ferret and moved it to where he now wanted to place the ball, which is insane. And then he moved the ball another foot wide of that again, essentially rendering the wall which Matt Turner had set useless because he created, hadn't he, a whole new fresh angle of attack, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, it seems remarkable that we spend so much time obsessing over how many times do we see the ball, like the referee pointing, oh, it's not on the penalty spot, it's not over the
It's
penalty
not in the
spot, you've got to go
corner
and do it.
area, it's not
Oh,
in the
it's not in the
corner
corner
quadrant.
area. Oh, how about even the kickoff? The ball's not exactly in the right thing. Oh, wait a minute, don't take that free kick. The free kick was taken from the wrong position when it's in your own half. This is a direct scoring opportunity free kick. There has to be a spot in which the ball is placed to go and take it. I think we've exposed. Thank you, Matt Turner, for exposing a ridiculous execution
What
or
I
lack of
can't tell,
execution
what
of
I
a
can't
Premier
tell
League
is whether
rule.
Matt Turner did at one point go to his left and see almost that they had been moved, and then he moved back again. Then the second, once he lifted the foam, he didn't see it again. He was blocked by his own wall, obscured by his own wall. I wonder in that moment, I'd love to know if he saw him move it and was like, you know what, I could complain, but I don't want to be outed as an American and just too whiny. I'm going to suck it in. I'd love to know what went through his mind because he did pop to the left once. Second time, he didn't see a thing. But you got to marvel at Toney. 8 months out the game, long time to brush up your shithousery to black belt levels of the true evil, devious genius. I thought, Davo, in those 8 months, however many days that is that like 240 something days? Like, he must have really wrestled with his morality in those 8 months away,
Yeah,
right?
clearly he's found the line. He's found a new line.
It's after the game, we got no Nottingham
I've
Forest.
got to replace gambling on the football with something else. I need some shithousery in my life.
I
This is
really,
what I'm going to do.
I really wrestle with just the grey zone between human evil and human goodness. Um, God bless. It was almost so devious and just brilliant. Guys, you go over there, distract the referee. Rule one. It was honestly as if Snatch. You took a early Guy Ritchie movie, and blended it with the Prem. Rule two. Then you lift up the dead ferret. Um, it
This
is.
this divided the two Robbies. I don't know if you saw this,
I did.
Rog. It
I did.
divided the two Robbies.
I know one Robbie was like the god of goodness on your shoulder. It was, oh,
Yeah,
mother.
Musto.
I don't remember. And
Yeah,
Robbie Earl was like,
must
oh,
it.
it's
Robbie, don't have a problem with it.
gamesmanship,
Don't have a problem
gamesmanship.
with
He
it.
kept saying gamesmanship. I mean, one guy did play for Wimbledon in the 90s, is all I'm saying. But after the game, Nottingham Forest wrote to the Premier League and their referee association, PGMOL, demanding to know whether Tony's actions actually constituted foul play. I imagine the PGMOL filed it in their very important file, the garbage can.
Yeah, they
But
sent it to Slough House. They sent it to
Tony,
the slow horses.
Tony said post game, you have a yard either way. So I moved it a bit round the corner, neglecting to explain the bit of picking up the referee foam in the process. But ESPN rules czar Dale Johnson, who is never wrong, wrote this morning that moving the spray is a cautionable offence, but yellow cards can't be advised by VAR. So it can't be checked, has to be given on the field. And it's not valid as a quote serious missed incident Forest already know this, of course, wrote Dale. Make of that what you will of their intentions. Having said that, big picture, I think for fans, it seems howlingly ridiculous that VAR, this big eye in the sky, Davo, spends like hours, well, really minutes, but it feels like hours, looking for like micro handballs in the area, but can't be called upon for obvious cheating that everyone sees, apart from the referee.
And also this yard either way rule, like it's one thing that you've got some leeway, but once you've put the ball down, the ball should be down. You've put it in the spot, the wall has been set. Like to then continue to move it seems ridiculous.
Oh,
I sense a rule change coming.
Nottingham Forest, take this from an Everton fan, champions of litigation. You'll never sing that. Into the second half, headed goals exchange. Ben Mee, the rare Englishman who sounds like a Vietnamese sandwich with a neat near post flick. Chris Wood goal. A lovely header for Kiwi Louis. 6-6 for him. But then, holy crap, Ivan Toney's redemption was amazing to witness. But alongside him, Neil Mopes in his own right, in context, might be even greater. I mean, this man played 29 games for Everton Football Club, where he did a very accurate impression of a man who's never kicked a football before, and he didn't particularly like the feeling of leather on foot. And he returns to Brentford, and suddenly, what is it now? 4-4. He's playing like kind of Mbappe in disguise. The swivel and smash that he scored, Dago, it was electric. How can it be?
Yeah, I mean, it's a player I always quite liked at Brighton as well, and yeah, I think it's fair to say didn't really show his best stuff up at Goodison Park or anywhere that his outfit were playing across the country. But yeah, this was a fantastic goal.
Outfit, I think, is the key here. I believe, and scientists listening, please tell me if this is possible. Even it's a bit like Pulisic from the Chelsea to AC Milan.
Mm.
Could it be a case of a man who just can't play at all in the color blue, Davo,
Oh,
but put him in red? Only logical explanation that can be right, and he just turns into a different human being.
yeah, but he was quite good at Brighton. But maybe he needs stripes with that blue. Maybe he needs stripes.
I like Everton. Get on it. Make everyone train in stripes and see if it upgrades their performance. But God bless Forest. So many players out. Truly had a go. Quality, but shell shocked at the end. That new bounce wearing off 6 games in all competitions, and half of them, as this one, finished by the thrilling but troubling scoreline 3-2. And Arsenal next. Peter Drury roared at the final whistle. The bees are buzzing again. For Brentford, smiles, joy, relief. Their first win of 2024.
Okay, Rog, coming up this afternoon, right about the time this podcast goes out, is Brighton versus Wolves, the Premier League's Z Derby, as RDZ takes on Gaz O'Neill. Wolves so hot right now, Rog, having won 3 on the spin. Make sure and check out our social for coverage on that one. But before we go, a quick reminder about everything we've got happening at Men in Blazers this week, powered by Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. We just want to say again, follow the women's game on all social platforms at Women's Game MIB. It's on Twitter, on Insta, TikTok, all the platforms. And on YouTube, we are at the_ women's game. And look for a new pod with Sam Ewis and none other than US women's national team captain Lindsay Horan this Thursday. Also, a reminder to Vamos listeners, the mighty Herc is moving to our early kickoff pod feed. Just search Men in Blazers early kickoff and subscribe for that one. Can we get a tourist to close
Yeah.
us out, Rogelio?
Before we do, Davo, just say keep sending us photos of your Premier League football tattoos, will you, listeners? Because we love them. And your football inspired license plates. America, each one thrills me more than the next. We are collecting both avidly. Meninblazers at gmail.com is a place to send them. And I try and respond to every bloody email. But I will close with a toast to, well, I'll get to the toast in a moment. But the United States men's played on Saturday, as we said, and I don't know if you know that, in this NFL heavy weekend, our nation's footballers actually made less news than Caitlin Clark being knocked over at the end of a game. Um, this was the close of January camp. Our best MLS players essentially facing up to Slovenia in the Melania Trump derby, which we somehow managed to lose 1-0. It was a bit of a insipid game that only Luka Doncic probably could have loved. Another game in which the stakes were not high, let's be candid, but the optics in the football bubble were challenging the men's team. This team needs so badly to start making noise as 2026 roars towards us. We've got to create a platform. The manager needs to start speaking, making noise, be heard, to the whole national audience and be listened to and loved. But since his return, this team yet to pick up the kind of momentum that has given Greg the confidence to do so. Roll on March when our best players will be in Nations League action, and God willing, positive momentum can be created. But I want to raise a glass to a quite incredible story that did give me joy. 22-year-old Bernard Kamungo grew up in a Tanzanian refugee camp, played the game early on with footballs just made from just any old garbage you could get his hand on, like medical gloves wrapped inside old clothes. But when he was 14 years old, his family upped and moved to Abilene, Texas. And on Saturday, the now FC Dallas player started for the US men's national team. I found it incredibly moving watching him sing the national anthem. A reminder of an incredible truth that by 2030, demographers have determined that the United States soccer team will be the perfect reflection of the current demographics of our nation. Just to the wonder and positivity of that magical reality embedded in the game we love.
Oh, beautiful, Roger. Yeah, lovely moment. You can follow us on Twitter at Men in Blazers, at Embassy Davies, at Roger Bennett, on Instagram at Men in Blazers, at Embassy Davies, Facebook Men in Blazers, Twitch, twitch.tv/Men in Blazers. Also our TikTok, look for it at Men in Blazers. You can always email us at meninblazers@gmail.com. We love and cherish getting your Ravens. Venderpunk, Rog.
War Pig!
Was that a Rabona?
I like snacks.
Balls win, balls win.
Take that, Gloria!
Balls lose.
To Tweed!
Abrigado, rock on, mate.
Kung Fu Fight in America. Love you, Dave.
Love you, Rog.
Oh, love you, Dormant Ferrets. Listen to the full version of this podcast and all our podcasts wherever you get your pods. But first, subscribe here for more Men in Blazers videos and courage.